Hey everybody, welcome to my side of the internet. Listen, I have just something to share with you today. I went to go see the movie Wicked and it captivated my attention. This is my first time seeing it, my first time even dealing with the actual Wicked franchise. So when I saw it in a lens of what I do. And I prepared a conversation for you today that I'm gonna have via this medium so that you can understand how it connects to the work that I do. I thought it was specifically interesting because of where I am in my career. I get to see things in a different lens. So I think it's important that I reflect on it as a consultant. So the first big theme that I thought about when I saw it is that it's more than just a fantasy. It's a story, but it's a story of witches and magic, but it's also layered in identity, social judgment, and also understanding others' perspectives. So if you look at the film, you realize that there's some differences baked in the actual film. So I'm a consultant that focuses on addressing that intersectionality piece and also that cultural competency piece. So I always look at specific inequities in schools, and this film reminded me of that. So I wanted to share with you a little bit about that. And forgive me if I'm looking all around. I'm still trying to get this camera thing working, but I really wanted to get this message out to you. And I wanted to make sure my notes are here so that I can be able to share what I want to share in a very dignified and beautiful way. So if you do not know me on my side of the internet, my name is Roderick Johnson. I am an educational consultant. I help schools manage behavior, the school students in urban settings, especially Black boys. I also go to classrooms and I talk about what we need to make our students successful. So what I encounter in classrooms reminded me a little bit about this movie and why I do this work, because we want to help educators and students navigate and dismantle systems of oppression that impact us on a daily basis. So let's talk about intersectionality and Wicked. And so Elphaba, her green skin, right? And it's a metaphor for visible differences, right? We know that her green skin is obviously something that makes her extremely different. Every time she walks in a room, everyone turns around and she's instantly marginalized. So marginalization is very important, but how many people are judged by the color of their skin? How many people are dismissed because of the color of our skin? So it's more than her being green. It's general marginalization. So her struggles reminded me of the recent experience when I was working with the school. And it was a family that was not able to connect with the community because they weren't from the community. And it was a specific immigrant family. And one thing that I'll call her armorer. And so it was a multicultural background, but it was dismissed and it was quiet because we did not have to associate with that person because that person wouldn't understand that we're oppressing them. And so part of the question that I had for the school was, well, what happens when somebody is different from the norm? How do we keep those systems of oppression out of our work? How do we see our students for little vessels of the future as opposed to seeing them as something we need to fix? So if you look at the movie, you notice that every time she even made a sudden movement, people were watching her because they did not know how to take her. They didn't know what she was going to do. And historically, we see that our society does that a lot with our Black and brown children. You know, we tell them what to wear, what to do, how to approach the situation, but I don't think we ever go and ask them what they need. And it creates an othering system, which means people are on two sides of the spectrum as opposed to creating a bridge which brings them together. So she wasn't able to participate with her peers in things. And even in the dancing scene, when she started to dance in her own cultural way, it was received as if she was repulsive. And honestly, it took a person that was not othered to join her for it to be acceptable for her to do the things that she did. So as teachers, administrators, and leaders, we do that on a daily basis, but we don't mean to do it. We just do it by accident. So it was a great representation of our response. And so a response for me would be find out what culture is represented represented, in your community, and make sure that you're able to give them what they need, and look for intersectionality. So if you don't know what intersectionality means, it's basically you can be black and rich, or you can be black and Latino, or it's an intersectionality between one thing and another. You don't have to necessarily be just one thing, because we know that we have a melting pot of people in the world. So it's important to really think about what intersectionality is and how it goes through. So Wicked also aggravated some of my pain points that I work with teachers with. And one of the things was trying to figure out how to, Elphaba, trying to figure out how to assert her voice in a system that was designed to silence her, right? She wasn't a part of the school. Her father didn't even want her to go there, but somehow somebody saw the good in her. Somebody wanted her to be the best that she could be, only to use her in the end. And we're going to get to that. But if you look at how she started, she was there to help her sister. How many of our people are there to assist somebody else get their dream? So she definitely had to figure out how to navigate her own future while still making sure that she was there for the people that cared for her and did what she was told to do. Her father did not like her, and she was not accepted into the family, but yet she had to bear the load of taking care of children. So if you want to talk about inequalities, right, you have to really dig deep and think about what happened. So another school that I worked with, there was a particular person that felt like certain groups of students did not deserve certain rights. And so when I talked to that person, now that person is not in the district anymore. He has since left. So shout out to me, because that had to happen in order for the school to progress. But anyway, thinking about how disproportionately these people are treated and how we cause harm with these people, we realize that we are creating a system of oppression that carries on, because once you oppress somebody and make them feel other, they 9 times out of 10 do it to someone else. So Elphaba definitely felt other, but she didn't let her other change her perspective of what she wanted to do. And I think it's a beautiful representation of how we should persevere when we feel other, because at the end of the day, everybody sometimes feel othered. It's not a black and white thing. It's not a multicultural thing. It's a societal thing that we need to stop, which is why this work is so important, because we have to remember that sometimes we are the problem, and the only way to fix it is to figure out how to not other people. So even the frustration that Elphaba had, it was because she was misunderstood, she was dismissed, and she was labeled crazy, or not crazy, but strange for speaking up. And then when she said what she said, and she did what she did, people eventually realized that she wasn't crazy, she was just different. And we have students in our classroom that are different, but we label them in another way. So I think that it's important to really bring out and frame for you, because I don't think intentionally we do it, but sometimes we cause harm, and those moments can really impact, and that's when the problematic behavior occurs. That's when students start to derail, and that's when they start to lose their energy, which is why you need an energy shift in your classroom. Y'all, excuse my dishwasher. This is a bad time to do this video, but I wanted to do this raw and real for you, because I'm going to be doing more, and it's going to get better and better, but I wanted to make sure I put this out. So how would I be a part of this thing or notion of fixing what was happening? Well, the biggest thing is helping schools realize how to address that intersectionality challenge. Because again, just imagine if Elphaba was accepted, right? Just imagine if she was accepted. Would she ever have become the Wicked Witch? And while we're on that topic, how all of a sudden was she wicked because you didn't understand her? And so even when I think about how I looked at the Wizard of Oz and I realized that Glinda was the good witch, was she really a good witch? Or was she a superhero? Or was she doing the superhero complex? There are a lot of themes in the movie where she says, because I'm so nice, I'm so nice, I'm so nice. So we have teachers right now in our society that feels that what they're doing is super nice and it should be commended because they have the superhero complex. And I totally disagree with that. I don't think that people often all the time need help. I think they need to be seen and I think they need to be heard, which is why when I show up to schools, I want to hear from the students. A recent school I went to she said, well, my students are up there and they're doing this, that, and the third. And I said, well, let me go see them. And so when I went to go see them, it was a different conversation because I told the students, I said, I don't know you, you don't know me. But I'm here to work with your teacher to figure out how we can create a bridge between the behavior you're showing and the behavior you want to show. When I had the conversation with the children, they immediately clicked in and they immediately locked into what I was saying and they were able to have a conversation. Imagine if I went in there like Glenda trying to fix something, right? And a big representation of when she tried to fix something is the popular song. She said, I want to make you popular. And she went into a whole tidbit about how Elphaba should look different, how Elphaba should feel, and how Elphaba should show up. So thinking about all of those things, thinking about that notion, you start to see this superhero complex, and it's in our schools. And this is why sometimes we fail at supporting our students and we don't understand the root cause of what's happening. So let me break the root cause down for you. In Wicked, the wizard represents the system of power, right? He perpetuates conformity, marginalization, and he represents the norm. Schools do it all the time. Unintentionally, we reinforce these dynamics, right? One case, I've been to a school and suspension was quick, right? No cell phones in the school. Know this, know that, know that, as opposed to some sort of norming of practices to make students actually buy into the program. It was a zero tolerance. And we know that zero tolerance does not work. So thinking about what that looks like, the Wiz is the ultimate being, but you realize he was just a man. Just a man that edified himself and made himself look different. We do that all the time as teachers. We stand in the front of the room with a sage on the stage and we want people to fear us, but fear us in a sense where you treat us as if we are a godlike structure. And this is not every teacher, but there are teachers out there to do that. And I've seen this in the movie, so this is just my reflection. So when we think about systems of oppression, we think about adding to people oppression, we think about not seeing intersectionalities, we have to think about how the wizard presented himself. And he presented himself in a grand old way. And so he did not take the approach of trying to figure out Elphaba. He tried to use her because he couldn't do the things she did, which is another thing where I'm trying to save you, but I'm not saving you, I'm using you. So when somebody is othered and somebody feels as though they are not a part of the system, they start to rebel. And Elphaba didn't start that way, but eventually she changed into a different version of herself because she realized that she was not getting where she needed to be. And when you rebel from a system like that, you start to be other and then you become wicked or you become something that other people don't like. So my question would be for all the people that are watching this and stayed this part, was Elphaba really wicked? Or was she othered and you didn't understand her and that's what really made her wicked? Was the Wizard of Oz all fake? Was she supposed to die? Did we intentionally make her that way? Because if we intentionally made her something, how many children have we done this to? Because I know children right now that started out really good, and then they were other, and now they turned into another student. So my conclusion is this. Wicked is not just a story about witches. It's a story about challenges that I see all over the system, all over the world. And I dropped so many gems intentionally, and I did not organize them in a way because you need to hear it all, and you need to play this back a few times, because what I'm telling you is what's baked in the things that we see is baked in the system of oppression that we use every day. Let me know what you think in the comments. First video, I will be doing more, but I wanted to share that with you today because I thought it was particularly important. Have a good week.